The meeting to order for the July meeting of the Greencastle Common Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Linda, can you call the roll, please?
Councilor Mark Hammer.
Here.
Councilor Adam Cohen.
Yep.
Councilor Stacy Langdon. Here. Councilor Veronica Pedrell.
Here.
Councilor Cody Eckert.
Here.
Councilor Dave Murray.
Here.
And Councilor Darrell Thomas.
Here.
Again, welcome, everyone. Our first item is public petitions and comments. If there's anyone here that would like to say a few words to council for items that are not already on the agenda. Chris, you mentioned you wanted to step forward. Now would be your time. If you could introduce yourself to council and
Sure.
for the benefit of folks watching at home.
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Chris Flegolo. I'm here not with United Way, so please disregard my shirt. But I'm here with the Putnam County Mural Project. And obviously, in case you didn't know, we're planning a mural festival this fall. 5 murals through the county, 2 here in Greencastle. One of these, what I'm passing out, are renderings of one of the proposed murals. It'll be right here downtown, where we're going to have our community block party. And so, and of course, beyond the festival, we did the 2019 silos, obviously right here in Greencastle. So really what I want to talk to you today is about our current sign ordinance. And it's providing possible obstacles for this particular mural and some of the future work that we envision seeing in the community that will just benefit the quality of life here for our residents and also some economic impact with tourism dollars. So, you know, when I think back to 2019, I continue to be really blown away by the outpouring of support from residents about the Greencastle silos. Last week or 2 weeks ago, Visit Indiana, in partnership with Indiana Arts Commission, announced a huge arts and culture passport app. And not only are we featured as part of that, as the only one in Putnam County that's part of that, but if you go on to Visit Indiana's website, they use our silos in all of their marketing on social media and as the header of their page. So what a great tourism, iconic thing for Putnam County and Greencastle that we can leverage for years to come. But most importantly, it's obviously the meaning it's created for the residents. You know, I've done a lot of research in mural work and mural festivals, and there's not a lot of initiatives or projects that approach public art, specifically murals, like ours. And so we've exhausted ourselves to get the feedback from the community and make sure that our artwork is representative of the diverse backgrounds and perspectives of our community. And so I say that because you know, we hear a lot from the community about what they want to see. And when I talk about the sign ordinance, I'm specifically talking about a little bit of you know, what is a sign, what is a mural? And from how I understand it is that our ordinance needs updated. There are some constitutional issues. There's some vagueness. I've been told in conversations with Scott that it's something that is going to happen eventually with some stuff, or I don't want to misquote anybody, but what I've heard is that it needs updated. And so I'm here because, you know, as we think about the impact that public art has, you know, earlier today I was in a comprehensive plan for the county, quality of life session, and of course arts play a huge role in it. With United Way, of course, so do human services and so many, you know, business and for-profit support. But I think the arts are going to continue to be a really important piece to the continued progress of Greencastle and Putnam County. And I think what's a challenge is the mural that you see here, which says "Welcome to Putnam County," may or may not be against sign ordinance. In fact, I've only been told it's probably considered a sign. And so I think there's a lot of reasons why we need to update our ordinance. You know, our mural project, we have a goal we haven't really said outright, but I'm saying it tonight. We have a goal to be one of the largest mural festivals in the Midwest. Bright Walls up in Michigan is closing their doors. They've run out of walls. But we want to take that place. And I think, too, with Putnam County, I think we have the opportunity.
Build more buildings.
I think we have the opportunity to become, in the country, one of the highest concentrated public art communities. And I will say, Hendricks County, Boone County, so many other counties are starting initiatives like this, and I think we are well ahead of them. And I think our Putnam County Mural Project team, which is completely volunteer, we've raised $150,000 for murals since we started, and we do this all for free. And so I think more clarity on sign ordinance around what is a sign, what is a mural, would certainly help our work. I think there's a lot of opportunities. We hear from the community members. They want to see words, positive words. We're not taking controversial. Welcome to Putnam County is fairly obvious of what you'd want to see in a community. We want to be welcoming. We want to be inclusive. We want to have photo ops so that people take their pictures as they travel from Lafayette to Bloomington, and they can see our wonderful community represented. So I think we hear a lot of that. I know there's been conversations when we have panel discussions with murals about how we have so many talented poets and writers in this community, that are known nationally and internationally. And the fact that we can't even use, a wonderful, poetry line because it's considered a sign by current standards, possibly a sign by current standards. It's something that I think we should reassess, because I don't want to miss opportunities in the future as we continue to make Greencastle a wonderful place to live, work, and play. I've been talking with Veronica and Cody about this, and they've been doing a lot of work. They've been consulting with Indiana Arts Council's executive director, Michelson, and I don't want to talk too much about it. I've been kind of put in the loop, but I know they've been running on that and doing some of the work, and I don't know I'm not really expecting anything done here, but I think for us, it's very unclear if we can do this mural.
How quickly do you need us to adjust this?
So
you can do the mural.
Sure. Our festival is September 11th through the 24th. We need to order supplies in August, obviously to have lead time.
So we'd have to do it at our August meeting.
That would be nice.
You're right. There is a problem with our sign ordinance. There's a larger problem with some of our parking signs around campus and in town are also in trouble because of a Supreme Court ruling. But I think this is clearly, I don't know, is there a way to quickly amend it?
Well, I'd love to expedite a solution for this, and we've talked about this for a couple of months now, going into the issues, and we, like you had said, we had just talked with Maya Michelson with the Indiana Arts Commission. She's been great, and she noted that Bloomington and Indianapolis have ordinances that exempt murals from being considered as signage. I'm not sure if that means, despite the fact that it would have some wording that would be of such a size that it would be prevented from being put up by our old ordinance. So, I'm with you in trying to expedite a solution. I'm happy to meet up whenever we have to meet up to talk about it. But this is a problem that's gone on for a while, and when you try and look up our sign ordinance on the website, it's just a smattering of ordinances. It doesn't read as one cohesive code. That needs cleaned up.
Our sign ordinance is part of our zoning ordinance.
Well, and I think we've had ordinances after ordinances that have slowly amended it, but it doesn't read as one clean code. It just reads as those ordinances slapped together. And I think we've held off on that because, we know that we're going to adjust it at some point, but we need to do it. And
There actually is a group that's been working on this, and unfortunately, we're wrestling with the Supreme Court decision that basically took away the ability to regulate content. So, for example, when somebody calls in and requests that a sign that involves a swear word be taken down, we no longer have control over that. I'm sure that that won't be a problem with the murals, but that's one of the complaints we commonly get, and we no longer have control over that as a result of this court decision. So Lori and Scott have been working on this. Cody stopped by last week and shared some additional information. So this will be the topic of discussion when Lori returns, so.
So could we get it done, could we carve something out? I mean, we're not going to get it all done by August.
No,
that's,
it's,
could we do something?
well, that's, Cody and I discussed, is there a way we can make a simple amendment to take care of the Mural Fest? I can't answer that because that's a legal discussion that I need to have with Lori.
This is going where?
So this would be in the space on south of the square, in between the CVB and the Sylvia building.
So,
Visitors Bureau.
Cody, I mean, could we do something where we create, like we have the alcohol district downtown? We create an exemption where special requests have to come to us for signs and murals downtown, like alcohol permits come to us?
I don't know if you can do that. I would rather not propose anything tonight.
I'm not going to propose it tonight, I'm just trying to get us,
One of the issues we run into is some of this falls under the enabling legislation for planning and zoning, and so we have to also make sure whatever process we come up with complies with.
I understand, I wasn't proposing it for tonight, I'm simply saying we're going to need to do something quickly
Yeah,
in August, and we don't move at Rapture speed. So,
The Convention and Visitors Bureau has made the arts broader than this. It's made it a priority and has funding. They have funding that few organizations have. So it's one more way that we can attract people to stop in Greencastle and Putnam County, and I hope we can find a solution quickly for it. It's right in our wheelhouse.
Thank you.
So it's the fact we're putting wording on it. If there was no wording, it wouldn't be a problem. Is that correct?
From what I understand, but I also think how the ordinance stands now is admittedly, by folks I've talked to, vague and maybe unenforceable, and all I've gotten was probably, and I know the city and everybody here in the community has been very supportive of this, and I certainly don't want to step on toes. I would just like a little more clarity, and then if that is getting changed, which I hope it does, and sounds like it will be, that we account for some of these wonderful initiatives that, again, add to the quality of life of our residents, but are also bringing in outside dollars and tourism to our community.
you remember, Mark, we wrestled with this when the Tap House opened. There was some issue with their sign not meeting our ordinance, and we had to change it, and it is a patchwork. I don't remember the whole issue with Tap House. I just remember sitting here.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Get it done.
I mean, everybody's been very supportive of the
Yes.
project.
Yes.
It's one, we have to make sure it complies with our ordinance or change our ordinance, and then secondarily, that we're in compliance with a Supreme Court decision, that we don't end up with unintended consequences that will be adverse in other places in the community.
Right.
So, thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
a possibility to get a third one downtown?
Working with the commissioners, which actually brings up another point. If we did a bicentennial mural, you would hope it would say celebrating 200 years or something like that, which by our standards probably could be viewed as a commercial sign, which again, as an arts advocate, I would say that is not the case. Poetry is not commercial signage.
Some kid paints it
So.
up.
But we're still working that out.
Good,
and,
I hope so.
And we're not the only community wrestling with this. Bloomington and Monroe County have been sued several times over similar sorts of issues and relative to their signage ordinance down there. They were actually working on an amended sign ordinance, and then some additional legal issues arose on that. And so this whole arena, regardless of the mural side of things, is a bit in flux nationally on some of the signage stuff. So this is not unique to Greencastle. There's a lot of communities across the state, across the country, that are trying to figure out how best to update their signage ordinances to meet these, the decision of the Supreme Court and the limitations they have placed on regulations of this nature. So Lori can do a much better job of explaining than I can.
And I agree with you. I agree with you completely, Bill, but I just don't want, an ordinance that may not meet constitutional muster impede the Putnam County mural project. We just need to move quickly.
We don't want to do anything that all of a sudden we give it an okay and then come to find out they got to paint it over because we made a mistake too, so.
Yep.
We don't want to, well,
I'm just glad to have the conversation and move the ball forward.
Or we don't want to set precedent,
Yeah.
then something else comes up in another place in town.
well, now that I think about it, we had the situation downtown where the F Wabash went up, and we got into a debate whether we could take that down. I remember a certain president calling me, screaming at me to get it down, and actually, no, it was F DePaul because it was a
It was
Wabash-owned
a Wabash-owned
business.
A building that was owned
So
by.
that is the flip side to this. Right next to Starbucks.
If celebrating 200 years allows you to do this while we're talking about all the rest of us, add it.
Indeed.
We'll figure something out.
Okay. Well, thank you again. Thanks for the time, and again, thank you for the support.
Thanks, Chris.
Mayor Dory,
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we have, anybody else for public petitions and comments for items that are not already on the agenda?
Yeah, we got a street closure.
Others?
Well, Rebecca,
Oh, yeah, I've got her down here.
you've been running
You want,
She should do it now.
why don't you, Rebecca, why don't you come up now, because you didn't make the agenda. So this is a street closure request that got lost in the ether. And it shows up as the Greencastle Middle School Soccer School Outdoor Triathlon. So the floor is yours.
Hello, good evening. I'm Becky Hunsinger, and I've had the pleasure of organizing 2 triathlons, one in 2018 and one in 2019. Then COVID happened, so we didn't do anything. But I was approached by some parents and also some participants who've done triathlons saying, could we do this again? And my first thought was no, and then I got to thinking more about it. I'm like, okay, it's a lot of information and a lot of things that need to fall into line. First, I contacted the school principal of Greencastle Middle School and also the athletic director. They are on board. They're like, this is great. This is a great fundraiser for the Greencastle Middle School soccer girls. So if you know anything about triathlons, it is 3 events. You swim first, you bike, and then you run/walk, depending on what your activity is. So that we would like to use this as a fundraiser. We really don't want to close streets. We will be using the sidewalks and, I believe, Veterans Highway. We'll be crossing Veterans Highway to pick up on the People's Pathway. And that biking portion will be all on the People's Pathway, all the way out to Big Walnut Sports Park. Any information I've written down? I think, Linda, you have that to share?
I handed it back to you.
Okay. Then can I give one? You guys can pass it around, or? It just gives you more information about what.
So you're not asking for any closures, you're just asking for what
Permission
we
to
call rolling closures, where they're going to
Yeah.
cross.
Yeah.
So who's your target audience? Is it just for kids? Can adults do this?
It's both.
Okay.
People who've never done a triathlon, we have a really short version, like a 200-meter swim, a 4-mile bike, and like a 1-mile run/walk. So that's for people who've never had the event and wants to try it, see, hey, what is this about? Then we have a few that are participants that want a little farther distance. So they'll be doing like a 400-meter swim. They'll be doing a 8-mile bike, and then I believe it's a 2-mile run. All of it starts in the Aquatic Center, and kudos to them. They've put it on for 2 years in 2018. They did an awesome job. Rod was the director there. Crystal was a part of that. They pretty much showed up and gave us free rein and said, okay, this is what we have, and we ended up coming in, set everything up, and pretty much it went without a hitch. A little issue with the timing, but other than that, the participants, we had 50 to start with. Next year we had 51, so we were progressing. We were very excited. I don't know with COVID how many participants we'll get. I would love to see 50 plus.
How do people register?
There is, okay, good you
For
asked
the
that
audience
question.
at home, just say it.
Huh?
For the audience that might
Oh.
be listening.
Okay,
The one
so,
on YouTube.
I forget you guys do this
And
stuff.
public access.
Where's the camera?
Way up there
Up
somewhere.
there by the exit sign.
So we created an event page. That was, Shannon Detro is a big help for this. And she's done several triathlons as well as organizing them. So she created an event page. So most people use Facebook, so they can go on and look at it. We also did a registration through runsignup.com, and you can go there and register. They can do the short or the long. They also have the function where you can donate if a business wants to sponsor. The fees that we'll incur is the insurance, which I will get to you as soon as you guys approve, if you do. And then we're going to do shirts, and I'm not sure what other expenses,
Good enough.
like nutrition, just simple little things there for the day of the event. Most of the money, if not all, most of the money, if we can get enough sponsors, will go towards the Greencastle Middle School girls soccer. Coach Bobby Johnson is the middle school. He's been involved with this. We also have Scott Monett in regards to, he's involved with this, got approval, wanted to reach out to them to make sure this was something they'd be interested in. So it mainly came about because parents wanted to do this for a fundraiser. Triathletes want to do this. They've done it before in communities like Danville, Brownsburg, Terre Haute, Rose-Hulman. They like having something local. That's the response I got in the past. People enjoy this. So that's where they can sign up through runsignup.com. And if they have any questions, you have my email is becky46135@gmail.com.
Can we sponsor people even if we're not doing it ourselves?
Of course.
Okay, I'd like to sponsor the DePauw swim coach.
Okay.
Like me, he needs to drop a few pounds, so I think, Adam, you got my sponsorship, buddy.
That's great.
Becky, so as I look at this, this actually technically is not a street closure request, but you're requesting, as I understand it, access to public park spaces, the people's pathway spaces, and opportunity to cross thoroughfares to get from here to there, and the process of it all. Does anybody in this room here, and so this is an open question to us all, including yourself, who have greater institutional memory than myself, back when it was run in 2018, did council approve some things
We approved.
explicitly?
Well,
I
the
recall
park,
it, but
yeah, the park stuff has to go to the park board.
That's what I was
So.
going to ask.
It's not uncommon for groups to ask or notify us of what I don't know what they're officially called, a rolling closure.
Yeah.
And we kind of say, okay, and check with Tom to make sure the police are aware of
So I do
rolling closures. And then,
have the opportunity to talk with Tom. He was a part of the last two, ones in 2018 and 2019. So I've talked with him, and he's going to help assisting for the crossing that particular highway. We're doing it at the light because it's a little safer.
Yes.
As far as the park board, I have gone to them, and they have given their approval for the use of the park. So
So
does
I
that
would-
answer?
yeah, I would
that's-
move to say we're fine with the rolling closures.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a legal name that I don't know.
I'll second Adam's motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the rolling closures for the Greencastle Middle School outdoor triathlon. Any further questions or discussion?
is there any other traffic controls provided at the Walmart entrance as you cross there, or at
We,
whatever the drive, Capitol Drive?
I'm trying to think about, I know we had volunteers, and we had them stationed out through the Greencastle, or the park, the Big Walnut Sports Park. And I'm pretty sure we had cones whenever there was a change in direction for the event or the route. And then we usually had somebody volunteer there, placed at that to help with any type of changes in the route, I would say. Most people who use the People's Pathway, who is a biker, kind of does their own judgment as far as when they cross in front of Walmart. They need to, I don't think we have one right there every time there's a pass. I think it's more general common sense as far as going from there. But we do have volunteers stationed throughout the route to give more direction.
Good, okay.
Great.
Any other additional questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained?
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you, Becky.
Next, we have the special requests that did make it on the agenda, and the first one is from Moore's Bar, and my guess is, I don't see Pete in the audience because it looks like he will probably show up next week on the 14th.
Leave a message for him.
Oh, okay. But this is for the Greencastle High School 50th reunion. It looks like they're going to be having a closure there on Indiana Street in front of Moore's Bar, and they're also requesting a noise ordinance waiver as well.
What date do they want it?
August 27th.
That would be in August.
We'll just do it tonight.
I'm okay with, I mean, this is a street that we
Yeah, let's do it
normally
tonight.
close.
Let's get it done.
I'll
Yeah.
make a motion because we changed our meeting around. We would make an exemption
Time.
for that we grant this, we've done this before, grant the closure and the noise ordinance waiver.
I'll second. Sorry.
We have a motion and a second to approve the street closure request and noise ordinance waiver for Moore's Bar. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next is a street closure request from DePaul, Nikki Colosi. Okay. If you want to step up and just be available, introduce yourself, and howdy.
I'm Dorian Shagrin. I work in student affairs at DePaul. And for the street closure, we're looking for opening day when most of the first years move in. Last year, with the building of Jordan Hall, things were much more congested right there on Olive Street, and we had people parking on both sides of the street and then carrying all their items across the street while other cars were driving through. And so to enhance safety, our DePaul Police and the Housing Department working together, we're hoping that we'd be able to do it just eastbound. So then the cars are just going one direction, everyone's just exiting right to the sidewalk, be able to go right into the buildings. It would be for a short time period. We put down, just be careful, 4 p.m., but usually the move-in's all done by 1 o'clock. Everyone's in there, and we'd undo it right away. DePaul police officers would be there to help with the traffic control as well. So just trying to do a short-term enhanced safety without limiting neighborhood access and impacting the other streets.
They did this last year, and it actually worked out well. So I appreciate you asking this year. I mean, it's my district, I'm fine with it.
Is that a motion?
Sure. We have a lot, you know what our total number coming in is, Dorian? I was asked that before the meeting. Do you know?
Right now, I think we're going to be around 550 or so, so a lot higher than the past couple of years, so we're excited about that.
I heard the melt was a lot smaller this year, too. So.
Yeah, I believe so.
I will second Adam's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve DePaul's request to make Olive Street one-way on August 20th. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing on amending the Greencastle Planning and Zoning Ordinance by amending the zoning map. The petitioner is Charles Pengleton and his wife Lori Pengleton. We resent out the information from last month's council meeting, so as a reminder for that, before we open the public hearing, I would like to remind people that the decision must be based on the following general criteria. That the request is consistent with the City of Greencastle's comprehensive plan. The request is consistent with the current conditions and character, structures, and uses in each zoning district. The request is consistent with the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted. The request is consistent with the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction, and the request is consistent with responsible growth and development, and then also consistent with public health and safety. For the benefit of the folks who are watching, this is a rezoning petition number 22-2, a zoning ordinance amendment to rezone the property at Barnaby Mill Road and College Avenue from single-family dwelling, SD2, district to light industrial district. This is the property that's north of the city garage on College, and runs kind of somewhat east of College in that area. So with that, I believe the Pingletons are here if they want to open with a statement or any comments.
Bill, could you maybe briefly explain why this is rare that we're doing this and not...
It's part of the process. We really don't have that many rezonings, so...
But it came to us with no recommendation.
Yeah,
That's different.
Yeah.
Plan Commission made no recommendation on this, and those documents were included in the packet that was emailed out, and they were included in the packet in last month's council packet, where we found the error about the...
It's just a little different how it got to us.
Hi.
Mr. Pingleton?
My name's Charles Pingleton. My wife's not with me. I'm just here by myself. But she's agrees to everything I have to say about it. First off, I'd like to apologize for barging in when I came in because I thought the meeting was at 7, like the zoning meetings were. I think they were. But anyway, and then my dress, I would preferably, but I was running behind. But anyway, besides that, the property is located at the north end of Greencastle, across from 600 North College. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with it, but we're just trying to get it rezoned from a residential to light industrial. And I guess, like you said, it's kind of odd that I'm even here because it should be, I would have thought the zoning or the other one would have got it to this point. So I don't know how you know.
After the public hearing, then later on in the agenda, the council will consider the actual amendment.
Okay. And I might not be familiar with the process, so I understand.
I don't know whether this is the time to ask or whether it's in a later conversation, but BZA made no recommendation one way or the other. Should I read anything into that? It's the BZA stuff is sort of...
Is actually Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, okay.
Okay. Lots of discussion.
Yeah.
Over a couple of months.
It is different that it's coming. I can't ever remember us getting something without a recommendation, but part of life.
Is there any public that want to comment on this? We'll have discussion later when we consider it, but this is the public hearing portion of
So is there anybody who would like to speak for rezoning other than Mr. Pingleton?
Against it.
Is there anybody who would like to speak against the rezoning? Okay, Mr. Pingleton, have you completed the comments you would like to make?
I assume, we've cleaned it up down there. We're continuing to clean it up. I don't know if that was an issue, before. And, it's a daily process that we continue to work on. And, we just want the property itself, it seems to be more ideal for a light industrial with the tracks and the city street department right there. And it's not a very wide property, so, you're not talking a whole lot of land. It's longer, but it's, and then if there's any consideration for the people, for the pathways that I was talking about going through there, I'm open to, separating the property to where that works out for the city.
Thank you.
If there aren't any further comments, I move that the public hearing be closed.
We're not done
We
with
have a
all the
comment.
comments.
We're not, okay.
Yeah, we do have somebody
So,
raise their hand.
Mr. Pingleton, thank you for your comments. And then we have another party that would like to step forward and speak. If you could identify yourself for the
Yeah,
record.
Ronald Prince, I represent Boston Bull Holdings. Boston Bull owns the 44 acres of what's currently used agricultural land to the northeast of this property. It is zoned residential, but it is currently used for agricultural. We filed a letter the first time that this petition came around opposing this rezoning. And we've had some opportunity to talk to Mr. Pingleton and some other people around the area, and I believe with what he wants to do with the property, we had, I'll just say this, our objections obviously were when you have farm ground and you have industrial, you have concerns as to what's going to happen to your soil quality. Light industrial is a little bit lesser of an impact. So we also had concerns, if it's industrial, what would be the future use of that property if it were ever converted to housing, wells, etc. Okay? With the idea of light industrial and the use and how he wants to modify the property, we did not feel that his petition for light industrial, as he currently describes it, that we would be opposed to. So I guess what I'm saying to you is that I know that that it did not come with recommendations. We were a little bit confused as to what the objectives were. Speaking of from an industrial zoning, we would be against that. But for what the use is going to be in allowing him to go light industrial, which would give him latitude, if I'm understanding your position correctly, to be able to modify the property and to get it to the position that he wants it to be. If it comes back later and says, hey, we want to upgrade to industrial, we would be against that. So I hope I'm being clear in what I'm saying.
That would have to come back to the planning commission?
That would go back to
make
planning.
that change?
So the current, and so I guess in the beginning, our objection was to either light or industrial. We own other, the entity owns other properties around the state, and we understand what industrial can do to farm ground. But in talking and understanding that what the light industrial designation would allow him to do, and this family to do with their property, we wanted to allow that, or to give our consent to that. But if they were ever to move in the future to industrial, we would oppose that. So I hope I'm being clear in what our position
And you're
is.
okay with any other light industrial that could possibly be changed in the future too?
Well, this is, I think we're speaking of this one exemption, exemption.
Right,
If now we say everything in the area becomes light industrial, I think each one of those, we would have, I guess what I'm saying is, I think there's a time and place to hold fast on principle, but I think there's also a time and place to have some grace. And I think with what Mr. Charles is attempting to do with his property, and you have to decide what's within code and what's not, but as far as what he's attempting to do with the property and how he wants to try to recapture the value of the property and maintain the property, we're supportive of what his efforts are to do that. You have to decide what meets the community standards. But understanding the farm ground next to it, with all of the things, soil quality and all those things for the future, that was our initial position. So I hope that I haven't muddied this up. We were against it for industrial and light industrial. Now, with what his usage, intended usage as light industrial, we are not opposing that. Any other questions? I'm sure this is confusing.
Just for clarification, so council understands, we have a light industrial and a general industrial district. So when you say you're okay with light industrial, what you're really opposed to is should a property owner come back in the future and request a transition from light industrial to general industrial?
Correct.
That's your
correct.
distinction?
That is, because we felt like with the physical barrier, the railroad, there's a particular drainage ditch between the two properties. We felt like at light industrial, the impact to the soil and soil quality would be minimal. However, we all know general industrial can mean a lot of different things. We would be opposed to that. And I'm saying that we're removing our objection, just understanding what he is attempting to do with the property. And so any upgrade in designation, we would want to revisit that, and we would probably obviously be opposed. But so I hope I'm doing a good job of explaining what our position is and what it has.
Yep. And your opinion would not change if you decided to develop the ground as it is currently zoned for residential?
And the reason I say that is because I think that with the developing it as residential, we're going to have other things that we're going to have to accomplish with the tracks there. So the way that the tracks lie on the southern boundary of the property, there would be other things in addition to simply Mr. Pingleton's property that we would have to overcome. So at that stage, perhaps there could be some other agreement made or into the future. But as of I don't think that his particular rezoning as light industrial is going to impact the agricultural value or future residential development. That's our assessment at this time. Anything else? Hope I haven't muddied things up too much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make a statement before council on this subject? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
If not,
the
I'll go
public
back
hearing.
to my motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. Department reports were included in your packet. We do have a few of our department heads here this evening. We do have several that are on vacation this week. If anybody has any of our folks that are here, if you have any comments or questions, be happy to have you come to the podium, or if council has any comments or questions for a couple of our folks that are here tonight. Okay, hearing none, we'll continue to move on. I will make my report fairly succinct.
Imagine there being 48 pickleball teams.
First item is I would like to thank all of our sponsors, volunteers, department heads, our staff, community organizations, and many others for successful Celebrate 4. And we must have been living right because the rain held off and we were able to get the fireworks off quite nicely. So worked out well. We did also receive our Tree City designation, and so we'll be posting that on our wall there. For the benefit of the public, I know there's been a lot of chatter around town about the condition of Bloomington, Washington, and Jackson streets. I would like to reiterate that those are state highways. That is US 231. That is a responsibility of INDOT and not the city of Greencastle. And hopefully next week, INDOT will have out for bid a project to rebuild those streets in various degrees over the next couple of years. Those bids will be due back to INDOT, I believe, on August 10th. So hopefully on August 10th, we'll have some information to share with the community. Other than that, that's a couple of things I just want to mention. And then I would like to extend the invitation to council. INDOT will be having an open house at Crawfordsville on Monday afternoon. If you're interested in going and want to carpool or anything, let me know, and I'll get you the hours and stuff like that. So they've invited local elected officials to an open house. So that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay. Linda? Linda has several exciting
I just have a
things.
couple things. So next Saturday, not this coming, but the following, we're going to have a city auction. The public will see it posted in the banner graphic. It'll be in the public notice, kind of a list of the major items that we have up for auction. We also have lists here at City Hall. It will start at 9 o'clock on the 16th. You can get there early, 8 o'clock. Probably there may be a few people out there a little earlier than that, but 8 o'clock to view the items. They are as is. Some work, some don't work, so it's kind of just a lot of different things that we have.
Rough looking.
Then,
Drive out there.
Council, I want to point out that this Saturday, I think you've received an invitation, but we are having our annual employee pool party. We invite you all to come. It starts at 6 o'clock. I know last year Adam came to our pool party, and it was a good time. And,
Found a diver.
Yeah, found a
He just,
diver.
he just won't do it.
I know, we have a really talented fireman, that's good, would make a great diver.
Get too carried away.
But anyways, I think a couple of you have signed up to come, so if you haven't, food and chance of gift cards and all kinds of things. So we are able to put that event on because we get money from our insurance company that we're able to use for employee events. So it's a nice little thing that our insurance company provides. I think that's about all I have.
Other than that, we've started budget work.
We've started budget work, so I'll be getting with the budget committee here within the next week or two to get working on that. We're kind of waiting on some key figures.
Yeah, we haven't gotten anything yet from
No, the state hasn't really issued anything, and in fact, they just opened up to where I could get into the budget form, so they're a little, to me, they're a little behind too, so. Anyways.
I've sent some emails to you, a couple weeks ago, I think, with some maps for the redistricting. That's as far as we've gotten. Lori's gone now, so when she gets back, we'll hopefully keep that moving forward and everything else so that we can meet our deadlines this fall. And but be looking at those maps, and some of them are interesting, some of them are pretty good, some of them are, it's just fun to kind of look at them and go, how does this match up with what we currently have and everything else? But anyway, it's nice to have several to choose from. So be thinking about that, and we'll hopefully be moving on this later this summer into the early fall. So,
A couple things. Consider it still summer. I'm not going to talk about DePaul school openings yet. I don't want that. But a couple things I think we do need to think about. Currently, golf carts are not permitted on our city streets. That's a state law. We had the opportunity to override that. We chose not to. I think we need to readdress that issue. Either we allow them or we don't allow them. But right now, we have we don't allow them, but we're allowing one organization to run them when they choose to. And that is causing a problem and a perception in our community that they can get away with it while others can't, or I can take my golf cart out too and run it down the street. So I'm not saying we're going to do it tonight, but I think somewhere in the fall we need to begin to address the issue of the golf cart. I know we've looked the other way a little bit on ADA issues. I get that, but we've gone way beyond that this summer. There's just no excuse for allowing them for one group and not everyone else. That's not what we stand for. I also had a chance to talk to Lori and look at a interesting parking agreement we have with DePaul University and streets, and it's pretty outdated. It goes back, I think it predates Mark. Not to call Mark old, but
ancient history.
Yeah.
It goes back, and it's clearly not being followed. And I think it's an example of we've entered into agreements, and we don't put like a review clause in. We've given up more than we probably should have on our city streets just because we've allowed it. It's not in the agreement. So I would like, and I've told the mayor this in August, to propose that we put an end date on that agreement and on our mutual aid agreement with DePaul. Not with the idea that we're going to break them, but we can't just give carte blanche and say, okay, we've entered into this, and now we're not even reviewing if anybody's doing it.
Where is that agreement, Adam?
Well, it's buried, and I will send you a copy. I could not find it. The only reason I know about it, and I'm upset about the agreement, but the reason I found out about it was not the reason I'm upset. There were some questions over where I live, who has jurisdiction over the streets, and who could ticket and couldn't ticket. And the mayor helped me, and we went back. Remember that, Mayor? We looked on some Google things, and heck if I know. But then I went and had Lori dig it up. The MOU with our police department, that's more recent, and it was published, but I don't know how somebody would find it. I'll have to get that for us. I just think, when we enter into an agreement, there has to be a date where we look at it again and say, is this meeting our needs as a city? And I'm not sure some of them are. So I will get you the parking one.
Well, and since you brought that up, I've had that same issue brought up with the parking lot on the side of Indiana, right there next to Tap House. We have an understanding with Crown, I think.
Yes.
Did that come to an end? Because they have
Yeah, that
reserved.
has an end date in it.
It has. Do we know what that date is?
It was 10 years, but I can't
I
recite
don't
the
think we're
date.
quite at 10 years
I
yet.
think it's 2025.
Okay, because I did get a specific
Closer
question
than I thought it
about
would be.
that parking agreement. So.
Yeah, that's a little different because in that one, we negotiated giving them spots.
Crown provided a great deal of assistance to the city on that
Right.
project, so.
In these other two agreements, what we basically did, well, in the parking one, the street one, I don't know what we want to call it, we kind of created a turnover zone with some buffers on it, and we've never really re-looked at what that means to the neighborhood around it. The neighborhood's changed over the years. The MOU I have not read, the mutual aid agreement with DePaul, I have not read recently, so I don't want to say where that stands, but we did not put an end date on that either, so I just think it makes sense to look at what we're saying and move it forward, so there's no misunderstandings or confusion. That's where I'll leave it at this point, but that is my intent. And a reminder, every now and then I bring up the old jail. I'm terrified that if that goes boom, boom in the night, so does our entire downtown district. Because all of our bar licenses, or a lot of them down there, are predicated, I said a lot of them, are predicated
The special ones.
on us having that old jail standing. So I am still open to the idea of us somehow taking it. I just don't want to lose our ability to
Acquiring it.
acquiring it, buying it,
Yes.
doing whatever we have to do to put props in it so that we do not lose our ability to continue to expand the downtown district and get it to, its full glory.
Encase it in amber.
Bubble wrap.
Yes, yeah.
For people that don't know, we have the right to control liquor licenses downtown because we meet 3 criteria, and one of them is having the old jail. It was something we found in state law. Valparaiso had it, we got it, and it's how we're able to grant rights to businesses down there that want to serve alcohol, i.e. restaurants, not bars. So, just my semi-yearly plug. I think so for tonight.
All right. Briefly, last Saturday, Dave, Mayor Dory, and myself had the opportunity to attend a dedication ceremony. The Ballard family had dedicated, was it a 1.5 acres, Bill, or
It's about 1.2 or 1.4.
right in front of
0.2.
Walmart, right by the light there. Wonderful program, very well attended. I bet we had probably 40 people there. I was very proud of the city. We had a lot of local representatives, but the Ballard family had relatives from everywhere come in. They had some from Texas, they had some from northern Indiana. Good people. They gave us some history on the Ballard's connections to Greencastle and to DePaul and to the Mary Allison, and it was just a real special 45 minutes, and I was proud to be a citizen of Greencastle and appreciate publicly them donating the land.
The history was remarkable.
The history was great, yeah. So, it was good, yep. That's it.
I have no formal report to make other than to thank everybody who made the Celebrate 4 events in our city a great success.
2 things to report. We've got a job fair coming up, so folks interested looking for work can go to the Inn at DePaul on July 21st from 8 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. We'll be hosting a job fair. We've got 20 or so vendors lined up right now. Everybody's looking for employees, so if you're looking, it's a buyer's market if you're picking employers, so head on out, July 21st, 8 to 11:30 a.m. at Inn at DePaul.
I need an assistant coach desperately. Can I show up there and advertise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your swim trunks, so that
And the second thing I wanted to report, Mayor Dory and I have been working on this, but I had originally planned to use my 2020 edit dollars towards lighting the mural on the silos there on Veterans Highway. And it's been a process getting, the concept started and the lighting going, but we plan to get Greg Hedges on it, I think, to do a testing of the lighting of those murals so that folks can enjoy it more than just daylight hours. I think it's interesting because you have to look at the light pollution that might be involved and the direction that we want it to go. But yeah, I'm excited to use the edit dollars that were allotted towards that.
They just did a study at DePaul on light pollution in the
Really?
community. I don't know what the results were.
Sure fits with what Chris Flegel was in here trying to do to expand the arts and the murals in particular.
That's all I got.
Can you give us an update on the street commissioner's job, Bill? We've got an interim there, and I'm the liaison to the street department. That's why I'm asking.
We have several applicants. I'll be interviewing people next week for that. This past week or few days, we've been interviewing for candidates to replace Tom when he goes to the sheriff's department for our new police chief. So,
Bill, can you just state for the record, the police chief's replacement has to come from our ranks, right?
I believe that's correct, but that's a legal question for Lori.
It is correct.
That's correct.
That is in the state statute.
Yep.
So we
Just so when
have,
people say, why aren't we doing, not that we don't have great people here, but if they're saying, why aren't we doing all these national searches, we are following state statute.
we're following state statute. We've got 4 really good candidates that have, on our staff that have expressed an interest, and so we'll be making a selection here shortly.
What's the timetable on that?
Hopefully this coming week. We finished our last interview actually yesterday.
That's a Board of Works decision?
I think statutorily I can do that. I don't think, it's a little different than when we give officers a promotion, but because it's an internal promotion, we're also looking at what the cascading effect is of that, because we'll have a new chief that will actually serve as the assistant chief until Tom leaves to go to the sheriff's department. But we're also looking at lining up folks with the assistant chief, and then that, depending on how that works, there may be some other officer promotions in the chain of command as well. So because it's an internal promotion, and we essentially have really 2 positions to fill, the chief's position and the assistant chief's position. Since Brian Hopkins left, we're trying to work through that whole system so that we have a good plan in place. And when the new chief actually takes office in January, that there'll be a management team ready to go.
The only other thing I have is Main Street Greencastle and their request for funds for facades in the downtown. They made that request by next month. It'll be almost a year ago. What's the status on that, and how do we get that to the finish line?
We found out that what we wanted to do, we cannot do legally. My hope was, because of our limited resources, that, and it's in our redevelopment plan to support that, that we could make a block grant to Main Street and they would manage it. And Lori, and working with Ice Miller, has found out we can't do that. So we may be able to do it with some other funding. And she found this out just before she's been gone. So we'll be developing a plan B on that. For example, we might be able to do it with edit funding. We potentially could do it with redevelopment funding, but then we have to do all the administrative work on it. And we were hoping to kind of pass that to Main Street, let them administer it and run with it. But so we might be able to do that with edit. We're looking into that and what other funding sources we can do it. So not through lack of support, more figuring out the legalities of the situation.
Hopefully it can be a subcontract of some kind.
Yeah, but we cannot apparently give them a block of funds, block of redevelopment funds. There might be other ways to do that, so.
Edit makes sense from what I can tell. That's all I have.
Okay. Daryl? Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes, one from the regular session of June 9th and the other from the special session of June 15th. So I will entertain a motion for the minutes.
I move we accept the minutes as presented for June 9th, 2022.
Second?
We have a motion to accept the minutes for June 9th, just June 9th?
Oh, I'll do them both.
Oh,
Actually,
okay, sounds
June
good.
9th and June 14th.
Okay, and so that's for both sets of minutes. We have motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item of business is approval of city claims. Dave, you have those?
I do.
Can we go ahead and dismiss the department head?
Oh, yeah, department heads are free to depart. Thank you.
Or you're free to stay.
Always welcome to stay, yeah.
On the direct payables totaling $156,558.86. The larger invoices are from Co-Alliance for $13,329.60. Align Civil Engineering, and that's a new name, Align, for those not familiar with it. Two claims. The larger one is $11,035 for design work at Roban Park, and then there's a small one for work on the banner graphic wall at $862.50. Bona Vita Architecture, $45,158.55. Republic Services, it's a typical monthly bill of $41,925.47. And then we have a bank draft for Duke at $31,409.89, and that's accumulation of a whole bunch of departments and repairs. On the Common Claims Council totaling $185,197.57. Align Engineering again is in for a community crossing invoice for $2,622.50, and one for the city engineer at $1,942.50. Dave's Heating and Cooling did some HVAC work at the pool for $6,652. Foyt's Construction, Community Crossing, that would be Wood Street, Tennessee Street, and 10th Street, $67,186.50. The Friends of the Park, the city sponsored the 4th of July at $4,550. And then you have Spear Corporation with pool chemicals and repairs, one invoice for $8,979.29, and another one for $4,211.44. These are relatively lower numbers than usual, which is always good from a budget point of view, I guess. And I move that the claims be approved.
I'll second. They'd probably be higher if we met a week from now, as normal. We'd have another week to get more bills in.
See what your direct payables will be next.
Yeah, and then wait till next month when we have 5 weeks in there.
That's true.
It'll
We
make
have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
I've neglected, I'm always focused on those two things, but we also had
Oh, yeah, the payroll.
payroll pensioners, $18,508.98, and payroll, where is it here? Payroll, $185,197.57.
Is that
Do we need a motion for that?
agreeable to everybody in the motion? Okay. Next item of business is old business, and this is the first reading for the rezoning. So it's ordinance number 2022-04, an ordinance amending the Greencastle Planning and Zoning Ordinance by amending the zoning map, petitioner Charles and Lori Pingleton. Whereas the Plan Commission of the City of Greencastle has prepared this ordinance to amend the Greencastle Planning and Zoning Ordinance by amending the zoning map, and whereas the Greencastle Plan Commission has reported that it held a public hearing concerning this ordinance on February 28, 2022, before timely notice, or after timely notice of the hearing was given by publication in the Banner Graphic, Greencastle, Indiana, on February 18, 2022. The petition was tabled until the Commission's regular meeting on May 23, 2022. Whereas the Greencastle Plan Commission has reported that it paid reasonable regard to the following factors enumerated in IC 36-7-4-603 and Section 1.4 of the Greencastle Zoning Code in consideration of the ordinance and determination of a recommendation to be made to the Common Council. 1, the comprehensive plan. 2, current conditions and character of current structures and uses in each district. 3, the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted. 4, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. 5, responsible growth and development. And 6, the public health, safety, and welfare. And whereas the Greencastle Plan Commission has certified this ordinance to the Common Council with a no recommendation by a majority vote, and whereas the Common Council has considered the recommendation of the Greencastle Plan Commission has paid reasonable regard to the factors enumerated in IC 36-7-4-603 and Section 1.4 of the Greencastle Zoning Code before acting on this ordinance, and whereas the Common Council has determined that this ordinance should be adopted with amendment as certified by the Greencastle Plan Commission, now therefore be it ordained and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, that it hereby adopts a petition to rezone part of the section of the former Barnaby Mill site east of College Avenue, Greencastle, Indiana, at the corner of College Avenue and Barnaby Mill Road. See attached legal description from single-family dwelling district SD1 to light industrial district LI. The ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage. The clerk treasurer of the City of Greencastle shall have this ordinance published by inserting a copy of the ordinance in each of the 2 sets of the Greencastle City Code, maintained on file for public inspection in the office of the clerk treasurer. Passed and adopted this by the City of Greencastle Common Council this blank day of blank 2022 with appropriate signature lines. And attached to this is the legal description, which is rather lengthy, and I will not read that for the benefit.
Please.
So we can entertain that, and I will entertain a motion on how the council would like to move on that.
Bill, is this first reading, so it's coming back to us next month?
Will have to come back, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Adam, I signed on the line you signed on. Can you sign it again?
Sure.
I'll do that again.
Mark, can you comment as a member of the Planning Commission
Yes.
on this?
So parts
sounds
of-
like there was a lot of discussion.
Yes, there was. It first came to us in February, and then I don't think we met in March, and then again in April, I believe is the timing, not positive of that. And the focus was mainly on the fact that that Barnaby Mill Road bisects this property, and there was a lot of sentiment that we would like to possibly rezone the northern portion, north of Barnaby Mill Road and south of the railroad track, but not the southern portion that adjoins residential areas, but it's all one piece of property. So you have to, in this case, you have to rezone everything. And there's also, we understand that there's a house further down Barnaby Mill Road just before you get to the railroad tracks on the east side, that the lady that lived there has passed away, and now the family wants that to be rezoned light industrial, potentially, so if it's a domino effect. So I think that gave some pause, it's like, well, how far does this go? There was discussion about that southern portion, that there could be a people pathways going through there, and Mr. Pingleton had commented on that, that the Tansy Wells Nature Trail could be extended, take down the fencing at the end of the school property there, and continue that through, and have a people pathway go through there. That's kind of redundant. And Also, the fact that it adjoins school property, the Bull and Boston Bull property is residential. We talked about Fraser Street maybe being extended. There was just a lot of moving pieces on this. And mainly, I think everybody up here understands, but people at home, a no recommendation was not as opposed to a yes recommendation. It was no recommendation, like a neutral recommendation. It was not an adverse, or it wasn't a positive. That's my recollection. So I think the biggest stumbling point, I believe, was the fact we wish we could just rezone the northern piece of property, not the southern. In the February, there were a number of people that came to the meeting that had property on the Shadowlawn and were opposed to this. So it is a neighborhood issue, and you're up against a residential area. There's nothing to say that southern section will ever get anything light industrial zoning, but somebody could come in there and say, we're going to put something else up, and then you've got residential property abutting against a light industrial zone. There's also some talk about the fact that, as we have a realtor on the Plan Commission, about you've got the street department here, you've got this light industrial zone here, you got this Barbie Mill Road going back to potentially residential area, and how would you, if you owned a house back there, how would you like to go past those two, the street department and a light industrial zone to get to your residential neighborhood? Those were some of the discussions. Is Scott not here?
He's on vacation.
Ah, darn it. Well, but this is the first reading too, so he'll be back.
He'll be back for the second reading, so if there's other questions.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember, I was really kind of counting on him to be, he took the notes and everything else, so if there's anything else I'm forgetting, I apologize.
But by law, there are only certain things we can consider when we do this.
Right.
And it seems like it meets those requirements. As far as the other house goes and the domino effect, we'll have to, at some point we get into this with everything. There's always a line somewhere. And we'll have to make that decision, or the Planning Commission will make that decision where that line's drawn. People's Pathway is great, but that's a projected project. We can't decide based on a projected project. This seems to meet the requirements for a piece of property we're not currently getting much out of. If we can develop it light industrial, I don't see the issue. No one's here tonight to speak against it. Now, they'd have another chance to come back next month, but at least for tonight, I don't see where we would not move it forward. Unless I'm missing something and I'm not a legal mind.
You making that a motion?
Sure. That's a long-winded
I'll
motion.
second.
Mark, anything you want to add? Because you've been involved in this way, so the rest of us haven't.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the preservation of property values, so to speak, and just by encroaching the light industrial zone all the way to a residential neighborhood.
Stacy, is this your ward?
My cutoff is right there at College, so I'm east of.
Okay.
But this is east of College, are you sure?
I think it's...
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have this.
think it winds...
I don't think it winds back in there.
I don't know if my...
Yeah, it's very close to this first ward, second ward.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that kind of...
It's,
We'll find out.
okay.
The residents would have another chance to come and speak against it if they want next month.
Yep.
And they were notified or not of this meeting.
I don't believe they probably were. They were notified by the green cards at the first meeting, and that's when they showed up. So.
And we did advertise for a public hearing.
Yeah, but can we notify them for the second time if they want to come?
Scott can give them a call if you want him to.
We need to hear from them.
I think that's why you have a first and a second reading.
Usually, most of it's done at the first reading.
Well,
Yeah, but Yeah. So I'll leave my motion to stand.
Question.
Okay.
Did we have a second? Cody, did you second?
Darrell seconded.
Darrell's all about parliamentary procedures.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be called questions every.
Keeping us on task.
Question's been called. All those in favor of adopting ordinance 2022-4 on first reading, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions?
And Scott will notify the residents, correct, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next we have a number of items of new business. The first is Resolution 2022-5, a resolution replacing 2012-2, authorizing the use of credit cards for city officials. Whereas the various departments within the city of Greencastle make expenditures such as purchasing gasoline, office supplies, and other operating goods and supplies from numerous vendors. Whereas the use of credit cards from one company would reduce the time currently required to process claims to the numerous vendors, freeing city officials to carry out other official duties and expediting the claims process. Now therefore be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Greencastle authorizes the use of credit cards as follows. 1, city-approved credit cards may be used to make the following expenditures: office supplies, goods, and supplies necessary for the operation of the department, gasoline and automotive supplies and repairs, training expenses, travel expenses, other work-related expenses. No other uses are approved. 2, a list of authorized cardholders and limits is attached as Exhibit A, which is incorporated herein. All employees must comply with all city policies regarding credit card usage. The authorized cardholders may delegate his or her duties and allow a member of his or her department to make purchases with the credit card. However, the official shall be responsible for the actions of his or her employee. The employee must return the card to the official immediately after the employee has made the assigned purchase. Excuse me. This resolution replaces 2012-2 in its entirety, passed and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, this 7th day of July, 2022, with appropriate signature lines. And Exhibit A provides for the following. William A. Dory Jr., Mayor, $5,000. Linda Dunbar, Clerk Treasurer, $5,000. Department Heads and Assistants, Lori Hardwick, $1,000. Melanie Welker, $1,000. Tom Sutherland, $4,000. Vacant position, Police, $1,000. John Burgess, $3,000. Rob Frank, $1,000. Greg Ruark, $2,500. Krista Snellenberger, $1,000. Scott Zimmerman, $1,000. Jason Keeney, $1,000. Vacant Department of Public Works, $1,000. Andrew Rogers, $1,000. Oscar King, $3,000. Ed Phillips, $1,000. Holly Foster, $1,000. Tom Swenson, $1,000, for a maximum of $35,500. Linda, do you have any comments you would like to add?
No, we just need to do a little housekeeping because we've had, changes in position and all that. So we did not increase the limit. We're still within the $34,500 that we have.
Who's the credit card company that we use?
We use, credit card company is through First Financial.
Okay.
We were able to make an agreement with them to where we can pay the credit card bills most of the time after the claims go through. They're usually due after the...
So to clarify, having looked at the claims a lot, if I go into Headley's and sign for something, that's not a credit card purchase, is it? And then we get an invoice from some of these places, so this is for the things that are outlined there. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, so like we use them when I use mine when we go to clerk treasurer training. Pay for the hotel, food, that type of thing.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 22-5, On first and second reading.
That's just resolution.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2022-5. Any further questions or discussion?
How much of a difference is this between 2012-2? Was it quite a bit of a change, or? we just
No, it's
updated?
exactly the same. The only thing
Oh.
that changed was the exhibit on the back
Oh, okay,
page.
all right.
Just the people who have them now. 'cause,
Right.
You know, we've changed department heads and
So we have to redo this when Tom is no longer, next year, and
probably, we really should.
I might, is
can't,
it possible, yeah, can we
position?
just, yeah, exactly, assign it to the position?
Well, they're actually, each individual is responsible for that, so
Okay.
it's kind of the way that we hold everybody kind of accountable to the
Okay.
resolution, so.
so we'll see it again next year.
Yep, you'll probably see it again next year.
Okay. Any further questions?
Maybe before, because we'll have a street commissioner hopefully before
Well,
that.
I did leave them kind of vacant, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
Any further questions? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, next is Resolution,
Can we remind the people that were here for the hearing on Pingleton's? You don't have to stay.
yeah, you're welcome to leave if we've taken care of that action, so you're welcome to enjoy your evening.
Okay.
Okay, but you're welcome to stay.
Yes, yeah, we don't want to discourage you from staying.
Okay, next item of business is Resolution 2022-6, a resolution declaring an economic revitalization area in Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana for Greencastle Sunrise properties. This is whereas the Greencastle Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana has determined that it would be in the best interest of the citizens of Greencastle, Indiana, if such common council defined and declared a certain area within the city as an economic revitalization area, and whereas IC 6-1.1-12.1-1 to IC 6-1.1-12.1-2.5 defines the procedure for establishing such an economic revitalization area, and whereas the Common Council desires to make available to persons owning property in such economic revitalization area the right to a deduction from assessed value of real property is defined in IC 6-1.1-12.1-3, and a deduction for manufacturing equipment, logistics, distribution equipment, research and development equipment, and information technology equipment as defined in IC 6-1.1-12.1-4.5. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana as follows. One, that this Common Council hereby declares by description the boundaries of the area to be declared herein to be an economic revitalization area as follows. A legal description is provided, and this is a legal description for the old Mallory property site. What's the address there? John, what's your?
1701.
Okay, 1701 Indianapolis Road. That the above described real estate is deemed by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle to be an economic revitalization area within the corporate limits of the City of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana, which has become obsolete and not lending itself to normal development because of the availability of other development ground within the city, which is qualified for tax abatement, and because of a cessation or lack of growth in the general area, which is anticipated to lead to a deterioration of the area and continued stagnation of employment within the city of Greencastle. The said area is not utilized as an area to promote industrial expansion for the city of Greencastle. 3, that in order to be competitive in attracting new industrial prospects to the city of Greencastle, Indiana, and new investment by existing industry, is imperative that such city offer to propose new industries locating in and existing industries investing in the above described area up to the maximum tax abatement as allowed by law. 4, that the Common Council now resolves that the above designated area shall be declared an economic revitalization area on the terms and provisions of IC 6-1.1-12.1-2.5, that this resolution shall be published pursuant to the provisions of IC 5-3-1, and a copy of this resolution shall be provided to the Putnam County Assessor's Office for inspection therein, that after due publication, a public hearing shall be held at the time set forth in the public notice notifying of the passage of this resolution at which time this common council shall receive and hear all remonstrances and objections, determine whether or not the qualifications for an economic revitalization area have been met, and take final action upon this resolution. Passed and resolved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle at its regular meeting this 7th day of July, 2022. So, Kristen?
Good evening. So this is the first of many times we're talking tonight, and this is for some new growth, new tax abatement, and Mr. Zeiner is here as well. This is going to be taking place on his property, the Mallory property, and so this is the first step, and so we all know that tax abatement takes 2 steps. The first one is just designating it applicable for tax abatement. So that is what we are doing here this evening. And so we are just asking, we're not asking you to approve abatement tonight, we're just asking you to consider the area applicable for abatement. He's got a company who he deals with frequently, and there is an opportunity for a structure to be built and to serve that company. And so he is asking if you would consider an abatement for this new structure that will be built, but he is asking for the designation of his property to build the structure on. John, would you like to add anything to that? I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
So, again, we're not giving the abatement tonight. That would come back to us on a separate vote.
That's correct. We got an SB 1 today. I hope you all saw that in your packet, and you can see under there it's a warehouse and storage complex, new construction.
Oh, okay.
I think we're talking between 60,000 and 100,000 square feet, but that's still in the engineer's hands or architect's hands, and so that's kind of what they're looking at. And again, that's the Mallory pad. They've cleaned all that up. They dug down and cleaned it all up, and so this is going to be setting back on the, I think it's the probably northwest corner of that building facility or of that site.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 22-6 on first and second reading.
Great.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2022-6. Any further questions or discussion?
I assume that we're designating it tonight, but we get final say on tax abatement, and they'll be letting us know how many jobs are being created and what's going in there?
Right, so this is a 2-phase project. This is just a structure, a structure build. John Zeiner will not be creating any jobs. However, the company he's going to be working with, there will be some job retention and potential job creation, and that's absolutely right. We're going to be working on those packets so that we can get those all out to you this month before you make a decision next month. And it might even be 2 months. We might be waiting 2 months for this, but we wanted to get this before you today so that you can just be aware of it and start thinking about it. But that's correct. And we'll take care of the public notice and everything else, so.
We're not giving an abatement tonight to this.
No approval of abatement at this time. And, right, there's still a lot of unknowns, but yeah, for the taxpayer, it's John Zeiner with Sunrise Properties, Greencastle Sunrise Properties, and so he's coming for the request.
Sunrise Properties certainly sounds like a nice company.
That'd be great to have something there in that very visible spot and a great location, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's great.
Any further questions? Please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? That one passes. Next, we have a series of our annual abatement reports. So, Kristen, do you want to walk the council through those, please?
I'd be happy to. So these are our annual compliance, the CF1s, for the existing abatements. So we've got a lot. We had one that rolled off last year that was Garmong, which is our shell building, and then we've got a couple that'll be rolling off after this year for the real abatements. And then, of course, personal property is self-reporting, and so they're always adding and taking off. And so sometimes it takes a year or two after that 10-year process or that 10-year allotted designation for that to roll off. So we've got Premium Brands, which is now known as Ascena. It is now known as Premium Brands. It was Ascena, and so they are coming before you for 2 real estate and 2 personal property abatements. And I don't necessarily have anything, any comments to add. You can look on their SB, or on their CF1s. You can see that they're currently, and this was as of December 31st, 2021, they were employing 679 people with a $25.5 million payroll. So they're doing very well.
Bill, we'll have to read the resolution, won't we?
You want to do it at
Last
the
year-
end? Do you want me to go through all 6 of them? There's 6 of them here, and then do that, or you want to do it individually?
I thought last year, Mark,
Or
we
we
read
just
the
read
resolution once and then did the rest by title only.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
done that.
They're all the same.
Okay,
Because they're all pretty much the same.
same wording and everything, just the names have changed.
Names have changed, and then, like, the CF1RE and the dates are the only things that change. Like, Asina's got 2 personal and 2 real. Cron's got 2 personal, 2 real. Chioda's got 1 personal, or 1 real and 4 personal. So those things have changed, but other than that, yes, the wording is all the same. So,
I'll go ahead and read the first one, then we
Okay.
can note the
Before,
layers of abatement.
Right.
So this is Resolution 2022-7, be kind of a sample for the others, but a resolution affirming Premium Brand Services LLC, formerly known as Asina Retail Group, Inc., of compliance with Statement of Benefits, whereas Asina Retail Group, now known as Premium Brands, has heretofore been granted certain tax abatements in consideration of certain benefits for the city of Greencastle, and whereas said company has submitted the following forms as of May 16th, 2022, CF1RE for tax abatement on real estate facility renovation granted in 2012, CF1RE for tax abatement on facility expansion granted in 2015, CF1/PP for tax abatement granted on equipment in 2012 and amended in 2014, and CF1/PP for tax abatement granted on equipment granted in 2015. Whereas the Common Council has reviewed the CF1 forms, copies of which are attached here too, and has been found in compliance with the previously approved Statement of Benefits. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana, approves the CF1 forms as submitted as being in compliance with the Statement of Benefits previously filed by Asina Retail Group, Inc. Be it therefore be it further resolved that this resolution be made a record and filed along with the CF1 forms with the Putnam County Auditor. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle at its regular meeting the 7th day of July, 2022, with the appropriate signature line.
I'll move for adoption of Resolution 2022-7.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve 2022-7. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Our next one is Chiyoda USA Corporation, and they have 6 layers of tax abatement on equipment, and 5 layers on equipment and 1 on real estate. That's for equipment granted in 2011, 2013, 2015, 2018, and 2021, and tax abatement on building expansion granted in 2015. So, you want to comment?
and my apologies, the 2011 has rolled off. It no longer is, so I've got...
I've got a new.
Linda's got a new one. We discussed that, and the 2011 has not been filed, and it's rolled off. So that's done, but, so 4 personal and 1 real. Again, this is Chiyoda. As of December 31st, they only had 198 employees, $12.4 million of payroll. That is not what they wanted necessarily, but that is because they are desperate for workers, and they just simply cannot find the workforce. We are going to be discussing Chiyoda after this portion of the meeting anyway, and so their numbers are closer to 260, and they've got full-time, they've got part-time, they've got temps, and they're beating the bushes to find anybody else. So they would have met employment numbers had the environment been right to get there. They just simply can't. And some of their workload is completely based on what Subaru does in Lafayette, and so some of that ebbs and flows, and so sometimes it's real strong and sometimes it's weaker. But this was as of year end, and this is what they are reporting as of year end.
I don't think we can hold them responsible if they can't find workers. So I would move to adopt 22-8.
I'll second the motion.
And really, of the five here, there's only one where the payroll numbers are not as high as what they estimated they would be, but the dollar amount of payroll is on 4 of the 5 higher. And the one that they're under, they had estimated they had $15,371,000 in payroll, and they're currently at $12,395,000.
They have upped their hourly rate to try to be more competitive in the marketplace as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, they're employing 198. They were projecting they would be employing 346. So, I mean, that's almost half of what they projected, but yet their payroll's only down $3 million. So,
Kristen, I can't remember who it was, but one of the local employers is actually renting one or more homes to house their workers, and I assume that's an incentive to have people come from Indianapolis or somewhere else to Greencastle to be housed here, and that's a benefit?
Correct, if they can find the housing. However, that's a difficult sell
those
as well.
houses in my
And
neighborhood.
Heartland does some of that as well. So, and it can be from Indianapolis. Some of it is for Japanese families that are working here on a temporary basis as well. So, absolutely.
I wish I could remember where it was, because there were complaints that the workers were partying and making noise in the neighborhood well into the night.
Interesting.
So
yeah, you can say it's a benefit unless you live in that neighborhood. I'll guarantee you it's not.
I have to tell you a story. The mayor and I went through a site visit at Chiyoda with some state representatives, and the employees with the dark gray were the hourly employees. The employees with the blue were the local management, and the employees that were the light cream color, they were Japanese management that they brought in. They couldn't even bring in their hourly employees because they couldn't get work visas. So they brought in Japanese management from their home over in Japan just so that they could put product out and get it to Subaru. So, I mean, that's how desperate they were. Things have improved since then, and so in large part because they raised their starting wage. So that has helped tremendously.
Just for clarity, the issue that we've had with a couple of residences have not been associated with Chiyoda.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2022-8. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, next is Crown Equipment, and they have 2 layers of real estate tax abatement for facility expansions in 2011 and 2017, and 2 layers of personal property tax abatement on equipment granted in 2011 and 2017.
That's correct. Crown is one of those success stories. They all are, but Crown is a good one, who anticipated that they would grow their facility, but they never expected it to grow as quickly and as much as it has. So the actual number of employees at year end was 753, which is a $33.2 million payroll. So that's very healthy. They're doing great out there. They could be doing even better if they had some more people as well, but they're doing well.
2 of the tax abatements are for 2011. Do those roll off?
Yeah, they will be the real estate definitely will be rolling off, and probably the personal, there might be 1 residual left over, but yeah, that's self-reporting, but the real estate will roll off as of this year.
I move to adopt Resolution 2022-9.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2022-9. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Coming by. Next resolution is Heartland Automotive. They have 4 layers of personal property abatement. This is for equipment granted in 2013, 2016, 2017, and 2018.
Again, their payroll numbers, there's 428 employees as of year end for an $18.3 million salaries for the year. Heartland is one of those that they're also a Tier 1 supplier to Subaru, and they're always looking at improving and doing, so they're doing well out there. And they have a second shop up in Lafayette, so, we try to do comparisons of what they're offering up there as well, and they are ones that have also raised their starting wages just to keep employees.
I move to approve Resolution 2022-10.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve Resolution 2022-10. Any further questions or discussion?
Dave, this is the one that has the houses in town that have really been abused and are now housing 6, 8, 10 young males at a time. Dormitories that treat them like frat houses. So I have 3 in my neighborhood. One took 6, 8 months to renovate. They sold it. Took 6 to 8 months, and the contractor did say they treated it like a frat house. And there's 2 others, and one in particular that's just been terrible. So
Is this Heartland, or is this?
I would vote against this, except that they've met all their obligations. So I will vote for this, but I would certainly like to have these houses used to be occupied by Japanese executives. No more. I wish they'd just sell them.
We have had several conversations, both from my office as well as our police department, with this employer. So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Is there a way to say a reluctant aye?
Mine's a very reluctant aye,
You
but
could do a neutral, send it on like the planning commission.
I don't think the plan commission has anything to do with it.
I think that would be an abstention.
Our next one is IC Greencastle. They had 2 layers of abatement for equipment in 2011 and 2013. Last year, council denied their abatement request. I was actually kind of surprised to see them have the gall to show up, but they have. So,
That's
Kristen,
right,
you want to say anything?
because they did. We're before you asking. As you can see, they had estimated 466 back in 2011. That number rose almost to 700, and at year-end last year, it was 189. Currently, it's at 0. The facility has been vacated, and just as of Monday, it has been sold. So IAC has officially been sold and recorded over in the courthouse as of Monday. Like Mayor said, you did not approve this last year, and so obviously that is your right and that is your choice. They do not meet compliance, and they no longer even own anything in Putnam County or City of Greencastle.
And there's no personal property, really, is there? Still there that would be
Not currently.
just
No.
a mess.
No, not that they own it. No.
They don't own it. They left it there.
Yeah,
It's
they might have left
owned by
things
somebody
there,
else now.
but- Yeah, exactly.
Because this is just both these are personal property.
What is
And one would have rolled off anyway, and then that other one had it. This was
Close.
Yeah. 1 year left.
What's likely to be the result of the sale? Do you have any feel?
I really don't. It is a company that's looking for tenants, and we've got a couple of tenants right here in Greencastle that might need some more space, and so that could be a beginning of a conversation. It's between 400 and 450 square feet under roof, and so it's a nice size facility, and you can break that up based on how they've got their structure done. So we're just kind of waiting, and the mayor and I are beginning conversations with this company to see how we can assist them.
Can we just deny it again?
Yeah, if that's how you choose.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion to deny?
I would make a motion to deny their...
Since it's in my ward, I will move to deny Resolution 2022-11.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to deny their request or their approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Next is Resolution 2022-12, Phoenix Closures and Quattro LLC. They have 3 layers of abatement, 2 layers of personal property for tax abatement on equipment granted in 2011, and for equipment granted in 2021, and then a layer for real estate granted in 2011. This was probably their last year.
It is.
Right.
That is rolling off as well. So that is correct. Phoenix is one of those, another success story. They've done great. They came to our community. They are operating what was a vacant eyesore, and they've been there now for 11 years, doing a great job. They're very modern. They're very technical, and so they have more than met their employment obligation, and are doing a great job.
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
The before and after on that facility.
It's more than just night and day.
And I will add, they wanted to expand this facility, but because of the Duke power lines behind them, they just could not move those, and so they purchased a facility down in Bloomington. They're doing well down there as well, but that hasn't hurt our workforce, which we're thankful for. So they're still going strong here in Greencastle, and they're doing really well down there as well.
I'll second.
Who was the first on that? Adam. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2022-12. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
An enthusiastic aye.
For a summary, there were 6 companies requesting tax abatement. That represents 2,377 current employees as of year end. Total payroll, total annual payroll, $108,067,129 for total payroll. So, over, $108 million that they represent in those employees for those 6 companies. We had 6 real projects and we had 16 personal projects for a total of 22 official tax abatements. The proposed cost for the real was $44 million, and the actual cost was $54 million reported, and then the proposed personal was $222,780 million. The actual is $159,266 million. However, that is not accurate because Ascena is reporting on their dollars now, but Ascena went through bankruptcy, so it was assessed down, so that changes that value. But I just kind of wanted to give you a total of what kind of that looked like, and to refer to that. But the employment is accurate. So 2,300, almost 2,400 employees, and $108 million in total payroll. So it's a huge
You're
impact.
not including our other companies that don't currently have.
Nope, that's just for tax abated companies. So absolutely, we've got a lot more than that.
Are there any projects that are not completed yet as far as, because I saw there were a couple there were 2021, or at least one.
Yeah.
Are they all complete? Could there be some additional?
There could be
expenditure
some
yet to come?
additional, but they're getting near the completion
close.
date. That's correct. That's correct. But as you see, like tonight, we have another one, and we're getting ready to get another one.
Another
So,
one,
yeah, absolutely.
Which is very nice. We've had a little bit of a respite. We haven't had any. Now we're starting to get some, so that's
Now
great.
we're going again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So next item of business is resolution number 2022-13, a resolution declaring an economic revitalization area in Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana for Chiyoda USA Corporation. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana has determined that it would be in the best interest of the citizens of Greencastle, Indiana, if such Common Council defined and declared a certain area within the city as an economic revitalization area, and whereas IC 6-1.1-12.1-1 to IC 6-1.1-12.1-2.5 defines the procedure for establishing such an economic revitalization area, and whereas the Common Council desires to make available to persons owning property in such economic revitalization area the right to a deduction from the assessed value of real property as defined in IC 6-1.1-12.1-3, and a deduction for manufacturing equipment, logistics, distribution equipment, research and development equipment, and information technology equipment as defined in IC 6-1.1-12.1-4.5. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, that the Common Council hereby declares by description the boundaries of the area to be declared herein an economic revitalization area, and that this includes a legal description of the current Chiyoda plant.
2200 State Road 240 East.
Yeah, and that's for a total of 38.98 acres. 2, that the above described real estate is deemed by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle to be an economic revitalization area within the corporate limits of the city of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana, which has become obsolete and not lending itself to normal development because of the availability of other development ground within the city, which is qualified for tax abatement, and because of a cessation or lack of growth in the general area, which is anticipated to lead to the deterioration of the area and continued stagnation of employment within the city of Greencastle. This said area is not utilized as an area to promote industrial expansion for the city of Greencastle. That in order to be competitive in attracting new industrial prospects to the city of Greencastle, Indiana, and new investment by existing industry, it is imperative that such city offer to prospective new industries located in existing industries investing in the above described area up to the maximum tax abatement as allowed by law. That the Common Council now resolves that the above designated area shall be declared an economic revitalization area under the terms and provisions of IC 6-1.1-12.1-2.5, that this resolution shall be published pursuant to the provisions of IC 5-3-1, and a copy of this resolution shall be provided to the Putnam County Assessor's Office for inspection therein. That after due publication, a public hearing shall be held at the time set forth in the public notice notifying the passage of this resolution, at which time this Common Council shall receive and hear all remonstrances and objections, determine whether or not the qualifications for an economic revitalization area have been met, and take final action upon this resolution. Passed and resolved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle at its regular meeting the 7th day of July, 2022.
Very good. Thank you. Kevin Redding is their president, Chiyoda's president, and he's the first non-Japanese president of Chiyoda in the United States, which is kind of exciting. Kevin was before you last year requesting abatement, so you have met him. He has this week is shut down for Chiyoda, so he is very busy, so he will be at the August meeting to kind of help define this. But again, this is the very first meeting of the two-step process where we're just asking you to declare this as an economic revitalization area to start the process that it is eligible for tax abatement. This is a situation where they're going to be investing close to $2.9 million in new equipment. What they've realized, they've gotten some new engineers on staff, and they've realized they can do away with entry-level positions and skill those up to more high-paying positions. And so not doing away with any jobs, just going to skill up what they have. They can't afford to do away with any jobs. They need all the workers they can get. So for payroll, when they came before you last year, they said that they had 267 and they wanted to add 5. For a cost of, it was $6 million, and they were going to add $237,000. Well, they're still only at about 260. In fact, they're less than that, but they ebb and flow. But their payroll number is now at 11.4 million. So just like Mark drew attention to, they are paying their people much better, and so therefore, even though the numbers might not be there, the actual total salaries paid is definitely there. It's almost doubled, not quite. So they're doing a great job, and so we just ask that you consider again to declare it an economic revitalization. We will put together packets for your review for next meeting. Kevin will be here to explain the project. And we will do all the public notices and everything else if this is approved. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I move that we approve Resolution 2022-13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2022-13. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll see you next month, if not before.
Okay. The next two items are really kind of talk about together. The first is the Okra Grant Water Project approval, and then ARPA plan discussion. We received our bids for the Alvin Pond water line, and that will start at Arlington and go all the way out Alvin Pond Road, and the new and then there's some other incidental parts to that project, some water valves and some fire hydrants to be replaced. And then we bid as a second part of that project, the new generator at the water plant. When we put the project together, we had a budget of about $1.9 million. Unfortunately, the bids came in significantly higher because of the current status of the construction situation. So we have to submit a letter to Okra indicating that we're willing to add to our local match for that. So if you would pass that down. So I have a draft letter here. So we previously had committed $5,000 for the environmental review, which was done as part of the grant application. We also previously committed $1.2 million in our water improvement funds. I'm asking council to approve an additional $489,840 in additional funds from our water improvement funds, an additional $489,840 from our local ARPA funds, and I'll explain how we can do that here in a second. And then the redevelopment commission has agreed to help out with the generator project because we had already included that in our redevelopment plan prior to knowing our eligibility for the grant, and that's an amount of $413,289. I did have, the Board of Works would like to continue to move forward with the project. We did have some discussions with our engineer about possibly going out for another round of bids. I even asked if it'd be worthwhile to drop the grant because it's federal dollars. It requires Davis-Bacon. However, she does not believe that even if we rebid it and did it with local dollars, we'd save $700,000. And it's just, kind of a nightmare right now on, certain construction costs, particularly with public infrastructure. So my recommendation is that to council is to go ahead and approve the letter and continue to move forward with that major water line improvement, and then, getting our generator of such a size that we can run the entire plant without a lot of gymnastics with our current smaller generator. We will probably be able to sell the old generator and recoup some costs there, but I really don't have any idea of what that number will be, so I've not included it in this. In terms of our ARPA money, we are actually going to be receiving about $160,000 more than we originally expected. So our original estimate was $2.14 million. Our actual will be about $2.3 million, a little above $2.3 million. We did not spend any dollars on our shortfalls. We had $150,000 budgeted for 2021 shortfalls and $350,000 budgeted for shortfalls in 2022. We did not have to do that. I still have included in the plan $100,000 for shortfalls in 2023, and then even though we didn't have any budgeted in our plan for 2024, I've included $100,000 for shortfalls there. We still have our money set aside for the Toddson sanitary sewer project, and then requests for this water project, and we'll have a little bit of money that is unallocated that will likely probably be put towards the Toddson project and the potential stormwater project on Tennessee Street. So we still have money in the budget for response to a public health emergency, vaccine outreach, which with the waning of COVID, we may not have to spend that money on that. We still have money in assistance to for-profit businesses with working with the Indiana Small Business Development Center, and we also still have dollars in there for assistance to not-for-profit businesses, which Lori's finishing up the documents for that so we can get that out on the street. As far as I know, we're the only community other than Kokomo that is providing assistance through ARPA funding for not-for-profits. So Kokomo just started to implement their project. We've gotten their paperwork, and I've shared that with the council members that have been working on that project, so.
For the public's sake, Mayor, you might tell them what ARPA stands for?
Oh, the American,
Rescue Plan Act.
yeah, American Recovery Act. So, sorry.
Federal dollars.
These are federal funds that came into us. We got half last year and received, did we get our second?
We're getting close to getting it, because I
Yeah.
filed some paperwork for it today.
How many bids did we receive?
We received one on the generator and two on the water line work.
The two on the water line, were they similar? I mean,
One was significantly higher than the other.
Really?
And, when we did the cost estimate, it was kind of before we had the sudden escalation in cost. And even with the cost estimate, we did, build in a little cushion anticipating some increases, but it's just kind of crazy out there.
So if we rebid the generator, you don't think we would get, because it'd be nice to have more than one, so we
Yeah,
know that
I
the generator
asked
people
that.
aren't, yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that there was only one for that, because it's kind of a specialty. There's not that many people that do that kind of work. So, and the other problem with generators, what they're telling us is, there's a significant lead time, and basically, they will charge us, they will charge the contractor whatever that is at time of delivery, so it's even hard to lock in prices. I don't like this at all, but we have certain parameters that we have to operate within the Okra grant, and, it's just kind of the nature of the beast right now.
The generators, I mean, both these projects are needed, but the generator is, if we were to go down, we'd be in a world of hurt.
Well,
Pump that much water.
we worked with Duke, and they've made some improvements to our lines out there. Our generator, we can run the plant, but we have to run the plant manually and rotate our pumps on and off throughout the plant, whereas the new generator, we won't have to do that. So it's rather cumbersome to operate the plant
Labor
manually.
intensive.
Well, it's just,
How often have we ever needed our backup generator? I can remember once or something.
we've had to use it several times where we have power lines outages there. The problem is our water plant is at the end of a line, and there's not an easy way to provide a dual feed into the
Redundancy.
plant from a Duke Power, but they've installed some equipment to help, but it's not a fail-safe.
Well, both these, go ahead.
No, I just remember 7 years ago when I came on the council, they said we need to replace the generator. So we've been kicking that can down the road.
And
so
Albertson
we
Road
need
we've
to
been
do it,
talking about forever, so I think we have to.
Yeah, we just got to do it.
We just got to do it.
Linda, you're involved with the utilities. Do you support this? Okay.
Yeah, we definitely need the generator. We've needed it for years, so.
So are we seeking a motion to approve the change of match commitment
I
that's
would like a
detailed in the
motion to
letter?
approve the letter, and then maybe next month come back and let you chew on the ARPA plan. If you're comfortable, we can still commit the ARPA funds to it, but there may be some other things that we may want to open it back up, for some public comment on the plan as well, but, we definitely need to submit the letter so we can keep the grant process going.
I move to,
I'm sorry. just-
okay, go ahead.
Mayor Dory, is this the first instance that we've seen this letter? Was this emailed out?
I did not email it out, no. So that's why I'm sending it out. It's basically a form letter that Okra gives us, and then we kind of fill in the blank.
Make the change orders. And,
Yeah.
I noticed that the 489, 840, and item 4 differs from the item
Oh, did I make a?
by $2,500.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, it should be 489 in the ARPA plan. That's my error.
The 487, 340 should be in the...
489.
Got it.
840.
840.
Okay. You suppose that changes the math, or
Unallocated.
Good to have an account.
we'll take it off of the 91,343,
Yeah.
I suppose.
I move to approve the letter changing the match commitment as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proposed additional match requirement. Any further questions or discussion?
This is the letter dated July 8th, right? that
Yeah.
We're voting on. We're not voting, you said next month.
Right.
I'd like to, work on that a little bit.
Okay.
And, for example, I did not have time to maybe talk with the hospital to kind of see if they're forecasting, things that we might have to think about in terms of COVID, so. Any other questions? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to abstain just for the fact that I would love to see this at least 48 hours beforehand.
We were kind of doing some juggling
I
and stuff,
understand.
yeah, so. Other than that, that concludes our business of our public meeting, and so we will need to adjourn the public meeting, and then we can move into our executive session. We may do that upstairs because there may be an audio-visual presentation as part of that.
Move for adjournment.
Who said that?
Mark?
Mark Hammer? Second, please.
Second. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill, is there
We'll
any
take
way-
about a 5-minute break, so if people want to use the restroom,